Welcome everyone to this Force Friday. We are going to revisit the subject of animal drawing. We haven't done that in quite some time. We thought it'd be great to return to our fuzzy friends. We haven't, like I said, talked about animals and love drawing animals. A little backstory on animals. I mean, I don't know if I'd say I had a real interest in drawing animals as a kid or anything like that. What really drove it home for me was trying to get into Disney animation. Like Disney animation required your portfolio to have animal drawings in it, which makes sense, of course, because if you look at the organization or you look at their films, a great majority of them are anthropomorphic characters, right? Like Zootopia would be one of the more recent ones. So you got to learn how to draw animals, and that really is a skill. You know, it's a skill of understanding how they're designed, and how they move. And when I was at Disney, the way we were taught, and we weren't taught very deeply into how to draw animals, but they always said, learn through comparative anatomy, meaning how do you compare an animal, or a mammal in this case, to a human being. So that's what I did. That's how I learned, and those of you who don't know, I did publish a book on animal drawing. It's kind of tough to see, I'll try to put it in the camera, called Force Animal Drawing, go figure. Right, so the stuff that you're going to see in, like you're seeing on the thumbnail right now, that's right from this book, right? This is, you want the orange cover one, by the way. If you do decide to buy this book, you want to get the one with the orange cover. That's the 10th anniversary edition, which is different than the original one, which was all blue on blue. There's drawings by Swenley and Mattesi in here, right? Actually, since it was a more recent edition, so I was able to get some of their work in here. It's also color coded on the sides, right? So it's easier to find the information per grade. And there are other animal drawing books out there with some amazing drawings. I think what I'm most proud of in this book is, number one, there's a force animal shape that I discovered that works across all mammals. So that makes it much easier to learn how to draw animals. And then the other really big thing is that the book is structured based on locomotive classes, right? So there's plantigrade, digigrade, and unguligrade classes of animals, and those are locomotive. So what we're covering today is plantigrade, right? And plantigrade animals plant their feet down, right? It's like, you can just think of them as the closest to human beings, right? They walk on flat hands and flat feet, just as if you were to walk on all fours with your feet and your hands flat on the ground, right? So that will be our subject for today. So before we get into it, let's say hello to Swenley. How you doing?
Good. Excited for another Force Animal Drawing after almost a year, I think. So
Yeah,
it's been
about a year.
Yeah,
and 50 sessions ago was the last one.
Yeah, and talking about the force animal shape, like I remember in the past, animal drawing used to be pretty scary for me. I was like, how the heck am I going to learn to draw all these animals? Like with a human body, it's just one thing and it's difficult enough. And then with the animal kingdom, you have all these variations. And the force animal drawing book was a great relief for me. When I learned about the force animal shape, I was like, okay, this makes it easier. So thank you, Mike, for making our lives easier.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, me, too, because I used to be terrified of drawing animals also. It just seems so damn complicated,
Yeah.
And it still is. I mean, it still is. Like, horses are not fun, Like, you have to draw a lot of horses in order for it to become fun, I guess, just like anything else. But they're complicated, and there are proportional issues. And you got to worry about how long the arms and legs are, and the design of the silhouettes of the arms and legs is important also, and getting good shapes out of arms and legs. It's a little different. There's slightly different shape rules for arms and legs in animals also compared to human beings. Suddenly we allow for like a concave versus a straight. I don't do that anywhere in the human body, right? Yet on legs, on animals, I was like, I have to go here. Like, it's the only way out to get a decent shape, So looks like Mattesi is just joining us, so maybe we'll say hello to him in a few minutes. So let's get started, right? We have a lot of stuff to cover. I'm going to start us off today. So let's see. So what you're seeing here, by the way, is like I said, these are all from the book. So on the left-hand side is more of like a caricature of a bear. I love caricaturizing things, of course. So here's a caricature of like a bear. And this is more of like the anatomical structure of the bear. And the way the book is structured is not only per locomotive class, but this is plantigrade. So we're looking at a bear. You'll see over here that the way I designed this was that there's this rectangle here that encapsulates the hind leg, right? And then here it is what the bear looks like a little more close up without the anatomy, without the bones in it. And then what a human leg would look like compared to that. So every animal's got this box drop down from the skeletal drawing down to what just a drawing of that foot would look like, and then the human foot next to it in this box. You see, I'm into boxes and organization. So like this long box versus horizontal box. You can see I did the same thing for the front. All right, it's like vertically we can come down and then we go across and we have the hand, right? So the book, like I said, is like that. So if you have any of the Force books, hopefully you're appreciating my my addiction towards organization of information, right? So what is it, right? Like I was saying before, what is plantigrade? Don't worry, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but feel free to skim it. I highlighted the areas in blue I really wanted to point out, which that plantigrade mammals are a group of animals that walk with the full soles of their feet touching the ground from heel to the toes, right? So the entire foot is doing so. And some examples, as you can see below, of plantigrades would be humans, right? That also then means we have primates in there, right? Because primates and humans are so close to one another. So that you could do gorillas, chimpanzees, right? Are also doing the same thing. Although I have to say, most gorillas don't walk flat-handed. They'll walk on like their knuckles. So those of you that are Disney geeks will know about Tarzan the movie, and like, you know, have seen those Glen Keane drawings of really cool hands, right? Where he's like squishing down the knuckles, right? But we've got bears, raccoons, badgers. What I didn't put in here is a very huge compartment of mammals would be rodents, right? So squirrels, rats, possums, right? Like that whole area of the animal kingdom is also plantigrade, right? So, you know, pretty big, right? Pretty big family of mammals. Even meerkats, right? Timon, for instance, you know, those are plantigrade mammals also. And you can kind of tell when something's plantigrade. It has a little bit more of like a lumbering walk to it. They're typically not that fast either, right? Because here, I'll do this little sketch for you. So they're typically not that fast because, you know, that you're going from, let's say, the thigh to the knee, and the knee to the ankle, and the ankle to the foot, and the foot sitting on the ground. Now, what happens is as you go across the different grades, this ankle gets lifted up, right? So here we have plantigrade, right? So plant. Then you have digigrade, which are like cats and dogs. So those animals, you know, will go from the knee, and then the ankle gets lifted up off the ground. So here's the ankle, this circle. Here, we'll make it orange, right? So we know orange is ankle, right? And then they go, here's their foot, and then they're on like the ball of the foot. So this is digigrade, digi, right? For digit. And then last but not least, you'll have unguligrade or ungulates, right? So we get to the knee again, right? We get to the heel again, right? So here's the ankle and the heel. And then that comes down to another joint, right? And then they go onto their like tippy toes. So this joint is like the main knuckle, let's say, in your feet, where your foot connects to your toes, right? So that's this. So what's happening is you get this constant furthering up of the ankle, this lift off. And down here, you're creating a more and more, a stronger potential for spring, right? For the spring action that happens across the muscles and tendons in the foot, right? So pretty powerful, right? Pretty powerful stuff going on here. We're talking about plantigrade. So again, we got bears, raccoons, and so on. Not the fastest mammals on the planet versus, you know, you've got the cheetah over here, which ironically beats out the ungulates, right? So let's put ungulate here. Will beat out the ungulates. But in general, if you didn't have the cheetah on the face of this earth, in general, I would say ungulates are the faster mammals. That's a very, again, very general statement, but they're the faster mammal because of this extra spring action that we're getting across these joints, right? And the lift off of the ankle going upward, okay? Let me get, so I can see what you guys are typing. Any questions so far from our group? Doesn't look like it. Everyone's doing their hellos. Okay. Oh, by the way, here, I'm going to put this right now in the chat before I forget. I'm glad I remembered, actually. On the website, on drawingforce.com, this is pretty new, so let me share this with you right now. Let's see, Force Books. I'm going to put the link for the books in here. Here, so here's a link to the books. If you look at that page, you'll notice at the top of the page, there's this thing, a button for order today. Right above it, there's a coupon code, which my publisher is given to me permanently to share with you permanently. So if you're going to buy any Force books, don't do it through Amazon. Go to my publisher's website through that link. I think they have a sale right now anyway for 20%. So I don't know if you can, you know, put 20 on top of 20 and get 40 or not. But either way, the 20% code that's on the website's permanent. And so anytime in the future you decide to, you know, to purchase any of the Force books, please go through there, right? This way you'll pay less than you do at Amazon, okay? So go check it out. All the stuff's there. All the stuff that we're talking about and all these sessions, right? This all comes from the books. The books are always home base, right? That's where all the information starts. All right, so plantigrade, digigrade, ungulates, right? The next thing I want to talk about is this, right? So here's the close-ups of what we were just discussing. So here's the leg, right? So we have the leg going down to the ankle, down to the foot, planted flatly on the ground. And that's the same thing that's going on with the bears. So if you're someone that wants to learn how to draw animals, I recommend seals first because they have a very simple animal shape that basically we can use that seal animal body and move it across mammals. And that's not the topic for today, but that's where I would start. And then as you get into mammals, definitely start with plantigrade first because they're the easiest. Hardest would be the ungulates. You know, the reason they're harder is just because they're more far from human anatomy, right? They just get odder. It's weirder, right? When you have this like a bear, it's easier for you to wrap your head around seeing them as a human being on all fours, right? And the further away we move from that, I just think the more challenging it becomes because if you get the books, you'll see there's drawings in there of me trying to compare, let's say, a human foot to like a horse's foot, and things get really weird, right? Really, really weird. The proportions are all very funky compared to like the human body, okay? Let's see, Kevin asks, when plantigrade animals walk, do they bend the flat part of their foot in a concave in a concave manner, or do they lift it up or down, keeping it flat? It's the same thing as like the human foot, basically. As you can see here with the front paw, Kevin, like this is, if this is the hand, you know, they'll break at the wrist or the ankle. And then you usually have this kind of drag, you know, the front of the paw or foot will basically drag, it'll bend at the toes, you know, and you'll get this like dragging action. And in a way, your hand or foot kind of flops down and like lands back on the ground, right? Which is quite cool. You know, just how graceful that actually all is. So, you know, you could see here, I was talking about leading edge and applied force, which is why this orange arrow is here. It's like the applied force here is at that break in the wrist for the bear's energy, right? And you could see the blue lines here as usual in force. Blue is directional, so you can see how there's beautiful rhythms happening through all this too as the walk occurs, right? So very, very cool. Lots of fun to draw animals. I highly, you know, weather's getting better. I do plan on going to the Portland. I live near Portland now. I'll probably be going to the Portland Zoo and trying to do new recordings and drawing on location there, and trying to get that up onto drawingforce.com. So some exciting things to come. So as a treat, or not, but as an effort that I'm going to share with you, I did a raccoon walking, right? So I didn't do this out of my head. I took a look at a raccoon that I found online. And I just did a couple of steps here, this raccoon, because I want to analyze it with you, right? So first of all, from an animation standpoint, even just from a drawing standpoint, Notice how simple it is, right? What I mean is the drawings. They're not super anatomical. They're very shapy, right? I shaped this out. It is actually the force animal shape. They're very unique in that they have this very strong, like hunched back. You know, they have a very strong curve in their back, but it's still a fluid shape, right? And the arms and legs are all shaped out, right? They're force shapes, believe it or not. For those of you that are far enough in your force educations to know about shape, they're shaped out, right? So they're all good, forceful shapes, straight to curves, everything is in here. And those shapes happen based on what the function is of the arm or leg, right? So what I wanted to do here with you is just talk about some rules, some things to be aware of when drawing mammals. One of my favorites, I would have to say, one of my favorite things to be aware of as a rule is the fact that, let's see, let's get this over here. Okay, I put it there. Animals' legs, when they're walking, this is going to be awesome, right? This, for me, this really helped me learn how to draw animals. Animals' legs stay parallel in between the shoulder area, right, and the forearm area, or from the pelvis to the knee, right? And then between typically like the foot from the heel down, right? Like as they sweep down like this. So you'll get like this double angle thing. I remember at Disney, they would compare this to a folding chair, right? So if you had a folding chair, let me think about how this works, right? You'd have a folding chair and the chair goes like this, right? This is the part, this is the seat, this is the back. And then the other leg would be here, right? So, but these two stay parallel. So as the chair opens up, right, it's like this. So this, the relationship between these two stay parallel, right? As you fold up the chair, it's like this, you see? But this line and this line stay parallel. So it stays parallel here, it stays parallel here, right? And the same thing happens in here. And this is such a huge benefit because one of the common mistakes that students make when they're learning how to draw animals is they break that rule and then it gets really awkward. It's like, oh, well, you know, an animal's leg would never be like that, right? So if we go through the animation, right, you'll notice here, I'll grab a different color. Here, this area has straightened out and it has down here as well, right? Now it's going like this. It's actually going from the shoulder and it'll like cross over to here. But up here, up above the shoulder and down in the forearm, those two are tracking each other. They straighten out, right? Here, if I move forward, right, you'll see here it's working really clearly as well, right? So here it's like here and here. Now it's not perfectly parallel, but close. It means you're not going to do something weird like, let's say, have the shoulder go like this, right? And then have the lower leg go down to the ground. You see, that's broken. If this area up here above the shoulder is like this, then that means I have to get from the shoulder to the elbow, and the forearm is going to stay parallel to the shoulder region above the shoulder there, you see? And then here's the paw. See, that suddenly works, right? So very, very important, very simple trick, but very important trick to recognize the parallelness of this. If the, you know, if the raccoon shoulder is going down, right? So it's like this, that gets me from the shoulder to the elbow. So I can do this. But once I get to the elbow, I'm going to move down straight to the wrist, right? Like so. So parallel, parallel again, right? So just like a fold-up chair, it's going to do that. If they curl up their arm, right? You got the shoulder area. They're going to curl up. It's going to get to the elbow, and then they're going to put that forearm over here like this. You see? So we have this line and this line again. So it's this contraption of staying parallel with the angle of the humerus, basically. What's changing, the angle in between is the humerus, right? It's the upper arm, right? This guy, that's this, right? This is the humerus, right? And this is the humerus, you see? So the humerus is connected between the shoulder to the elbow. That upper arm is the thing that's making that connection. And it's above the shoulder, like the scapula and the angle of the scapula relative to the forearm that stay lined up to create the other angles of the chair, right? Okay, let's see if there's any questions here. Was able to get some of his animation sequence on sale. Some other conversation seems going on. Oh yeah, Aaron. Yeah, no, Aaron has some animal videos too. Yeah, we're gonna be relaunching our How to Draw Animals course probably next couple of months. So when that happens, I'll inform you guys. But Aaron has some good animations, I think, up there. Obviously, he's also a former Disney animator. Let's see. Funny how things like this get passed around. Yeah. A lot of animals' bodies are based on the curved opposites, kind of like an upper curve, lower curve, and then up. Yes, yeah, there is definitely, to redact this point, there is like an upper curve, lower curve, upper curve, right? So this is the rhythm that you want going on in the animal, you see? So any questions about the legs is really what I want to hear from you guys. I want you to be aware of how this works. It's the same thing over here, by the way, right? In the upper leg, we're going to get from here, get down here and come down again, right? So just be aware of how that all functions. And animation, just in my closing before I pass this off, I think learning how to animate is a great vehicle to better understanding how to draw with force, right? The reason I teach what I teach, most of it is actually because I come out of this as a prior animator. So again, it doesn't matter if it's animals or people, I'm seeing how things move, right? And so when you think you're looking at a still pose, a still figure of, of a still photograph of a figure, I don't see them as still. I see them as moving. I look at the models, and even if this was just a raccoon standing here in a photograph, let's say like this, to me, I see them in the middle of a walk, right? And that changes the way I look at drawing, right? So, always feel free to try to step into the space of trying to animate, right? Okay, with that, I'm going to pass it along. We didn't decide who's going to go next. I think Mritunjay's got a lot of big stuff. So why don't we have Swenley go first, and then Mritunjay, we'll have you bring up the end and make sure you got enough time, 15, 20 minutes or so to finish up. Okay, let's see. Let me hand over our He-Man power here. There you go, Swenley.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see. Let's wait for the screen to come up. All right. So thank you, Mike, for that amazing intro and the explanation. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I did a time lapse of a red panda. So interesting animals, at least I find them pretty interesting in their design, and especially like their color scheme, I find really cool. So the red panda, let's look at some like quick facts about the animal. First of all, they live high up in trees in the Himalayas, Myanmar, and Nepal. They are arboreal animals, and they are considered to be as good as a climber as monkeys. They're the size of a large cat, and in Nepal, they are called the firefox, just like the browser. And funny enough, despite the name, they're not really related to the giant panda. Now they're considered a species on their own. And in times past, they were categorized in the raccoon family, and later on, we probably discovered that they're not as related as they thought. So they put them in their own category. And in terms of diet, they eat mostly bamboo, which means that they have to eat a lot of it. So they have to spend a lot of, like a large part of the day eating in order to get enough nutrients to go around. And they're also known to eat flowers and even birds and small mammals at times when those are available in their area. So one could debate that they are basically omnivores. They don't only eat plants, they also eat other animals, other small mammals. And if you have watched the movie Turning Red, which came out, I think it was last year, no, pretty recent.
Yeah, recent.
Yeah, now we know where the inspiration came from for the character. You know, it was inspired by the red panda.
I have
And
to
I
put
really
in
like.
I have to put in a plug here and put in a shout out to my friend Bill Pressing, who was the head of story on this film. Actually, he's been a long time storyboard artist at Pixar, and so this was his first time being head of story. So congrats.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched it, I think, at the beginning of this year, and I think it was pretty amazing. I really like the designs. You know, it's very like round and friendly in the designs, very round shapes. So yeah, pretty cool. And they did a great job bringing like the characteristics of the red panda, you know, like the fluffiness and like the white shapes in the face, you know, how it's all designed. So I think they did a great job adapting the animals to this animation. So next, let's take a look at the time lapse that I did. So let's go over here. And I did a time lapse, so it was easy for me to get to more of a refined sketch. So let's go through this. So on the screen right, you see the reference that I drew from, and underneath you see a skeleton reference. And I find, especially after like teaching animal drawing in the Force Discord for a while, it really helps to understand the bones, especially the angles of the bones. And like Mike talked about earlier, you know, how they stay parallel to one another in terms of angles. And also the pelvis is important to understand, like that it's a hard bone structure. So usually, let me grab the annotate tool here. Usually, because the pelvis is a hard bone structure, you would see like a hard angle, you know, at the back of the torso if you look closely. Now, of course, when the animals are covered in fur, it becomes a bit harder to see. So this type of skeleton reference, which you can easily find on Google, is I find very helpful to understand what's going on underneath all that fur. You know, the shoulder blades are also important because when they put weights on, let's say this leg, for example, you know, the applied force pushes out or pushes up on the shoulder blade, you know. And when you look at animals like dogs, for example, who don't have that much fur, then you can see the workings of the anatomy a bit clearer. Let's clear all of this. And let's go with you guys through the video. So first of all, I did start by watching a video of red pandas, you know, just to understand the information that I shared with you guys at the beginning. And as I was watching the video, which showed a bunch of red pandas moving around, I started doing some sketches just to warm up and start getting more familiar with the proportions. Like I don't draw red pandas every day. So this was me getting my mind into like the proportions and the overall movements of the animal, you know. And surprisingly, they are pretty good in like walking upright. You know, they can walk upright for like a brief period of time, and it was pretty surprising how well they can do it. You wanted to say something, Mike?
I was just saying it's weird that they could do that.
Yeah, it was very unexpected, you know, when I saw that. So I was like, I have to draw that. You know, so here I did another iteration because their torsos, at least the one I drew, was pretty long. So this is me starting out with drawing the reference. And as you can see here, I started out with the force animal shape, like Mike showed at the beginning. Like there's a starting point. You know, starting with a torso combined with a head, which forms the force animal shape. And paying attention to the proportions. And it's pretty much similar to the process of drawing humans. Like the force animal shape is in this case, like our main mass and our main weight that we're working with. And then you want to understand how the legs work to keep that weight from falling and make it possible for it to move around. Yes, I'm staying very rough. This is my second pass. As you can see, still paying a lot of attention to the proportions. Here I'm starting to get a bit more tighter with the structure, and normally I like to add wrapping lines, ellipses at the joints. That's like a efficient way for me to get structure and help me understand which direction the body parts, in this case the legs, are going in 3D space. Are they going like into the page, or are they coming out of the page? So more here. Notice that even though the shoulder blades isn't directly visible, it's all covered by the fur. I like being aware of the leg as a whole and understands what's going on underneath the fur in terms of the functionality of the animal. See, so fixing some proportions. And in drawing the animals, I must say proportions is what I find most challenging, because with humans, you have the average proportions. And after you've drawn enough humans, you start getting used to that. But with animals, there are so many like variety in proportions. So, and like a little change in the proportions can make the animal look like a complete different animal. Like if I take the mouth, for example, and the nose and make it a bit longer, it can start looking like a different animal. So really have to observe the proportions. So here I'm doing a third pass, starting to clean things up a little bit. And I reminded myself that usually it's not a good idea, for me at least, to start with the head. No, it's better for me to start with the body and get more warmed up and leave the head and the face for last, because those have to be on points. So here I'm drawing and redrawing, playing around with the design of the fur, deciding how I'm going to like simplify the shapes, where I'm going to show the furry texture. Now, and also drew the tree trunk that he's walking on. Like, again, just like when drawing humans, whenever the animal is interacting with a prop, you want to draw that. I constantly see students just drawing floating figures or floating animals. But you want to include the environment or the prop that they're interacting with, because it's part of the story. So now I'm going for the face, and here I was like more warmed up drawing wise, so it was a lot easier for me to capture. Playing around with the fur, adding some textures. So here I'm shaping out like the black shape on their body. And of course, I'm not just copying, I'm designing. So I'm very deliberate in how I design the shapes, and where I put straights and where I put curves. Adding some final details. So here I added some drop shadows underneath the neck and also back here. Very quick way of showing form. And I think 2 weeks back, Mike demonstrated this in his cleanup of the figure drawing. Very, very handy tool to quickly add form. And here is the final. So, yeah, thank you. So if you go back here, after that, I added some orange to it, also some color to the tree trunk. So this is the final sketch.
Cool.
And the main idea that I wanted to go for in this sketch was the sense of forward movement, especially in this back leg. Increase the opacity. So especially here, like if you look at a photo, there is this sense of thrust. You can see how he's like thrusting his body forward from this foot. So I really wanted to make sure that I captured that, and then he's reaching out with the front leg to catch its weight. So yeah, guys, hopefully this was fun and useful for you guys to watch and look at. And just like with the previous demos, take your time. Don't rush towards a cleanup. Do multiple iterations, multiple passes, and just allow yourself to do a lot of drawing on the page. Like Mike always says, the more you draw, the faster you're going to learn how to draw. So don't put the pressure on yourself that has to be perfect from the beginning. Just do as many passes as you need and allow yourself to arrive at the final sketch, especially when the subject is brand new, like an animal drawing. All right, that's it on my part. Were there any questions, Mike?
Yeah, but things we've answered, so all good.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to pass it over to Mattesi because I think he has some awesome stuff for us as always.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Hello. Kind of a little late, but
Yes, welcome. That's right. We didn't get to say hello before. How you doing?
yep, I'm doing good. I was also very excited. Like I am very excited for sharing with you some awesome stuff about.
Hey, before you get started, Tunjay, I remember it was last week or the week before we were worried about audio. Make sure that you can get it as loud as you can on your end. You're a little quieter, I think, than Swanley and I.
Right now, it's good.
It's a little quieter than us. I think your mouth is just probably further from the mic that you're using. So it might not be something you could fix today, but it's something to think about.
Good now.
Better, a little better.
All right. Well, so let's go over it. I'll just try to keep this audio thing a little louder.
And just talk louder.
Yeah, I'll just talk a little louder. All right. So thank you, Swanley, for doing that awesome demo. That was really good, really amazing. I really like how you separated those parts out, but you take your time to first, give your focus to the moment and such, and then just go over a little bit of more pass, like on cleanup of top. So that was great. So I did some pre-recording. My sketches are not as clean as Swanley's, not as smooth as Swanley's, but I'm just gonna share this with you. Okay. So I did some bears, by the way. Okay. So bears are also plantigrade, just like Mike was showing you in the beginning, right? And let's go over this with video. Okay. So I just speed it up here. And the first thing you see me doing in this bear drawing, I would say, is the force animal shape, right? And I'm just going to break this down for you. So it's a little customized, right? According to pose. I'm not going for just like I said, I'm not going as like clean in terms of like visuals. Okay. So in the first, like you might see this and you might feel like, okay, I'm trying to just draw the body, but actually I'm just seeing that through the filter of force. Okay. So I'm actually doing this, right? So that's neck and head, right? And this one, right? So now, does it look comparable to you, right? Okay, so I'm actually looking at this body shape through this like filter of force shape, but the thing is, you might see a little bit of more lines, like a little bit of more intricacies, like this, this and this. That might just you might think that, okay, I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm just again going for the animal shape. Now the bear is actually throwing itself off. Sorry for that. The bear is throwing itself off, right? So I just really need that moment in there. So you can see I'm just like putting that arrow in there, to like inspire me to get that moment. Okay. And you can see I'm just like kind of throwing lines in there. So let's play the video. Grizzlies are very aggressive, by the way, when they fight. One of the fact that I read about grizzlies while just researching about them a little bit, for the stream, they had this hump, over their backs, and that is actually a signature for a grizzly bear. Okay, So I'm doing that hump. That hump is coming a little bit from the spine. That's actually a muscle. That's actually giving them less extra strength. Okay, but here the hump is also coming from the like because he's like pushing to the ground with his uh you would say feet, right? So with the feet, right? So the hump is also due to that as well here. Here you see me yeah, I was confused a little bit about that, but I really did a quick study of that, just the same thing, just like Mike said, you want to keep them parallel or almost parallel, right? So I did a quick study and then fixed that other leg as well. Okay. Yeah, if we go a little bit back, so see I completed here with the force shape right here. Yeah, it was pretty quick. And then what I went with is very straight on, like the angles, the angles that we know, right? So basically a good trick for this one is I always go for like forward, backward, and straight. Okay. Like this is a very classic animal thing, that I find out is okay, that's actually forward, backward, straight. So when we talk about the front legs, okay, the scapula, you always want to start learning, you want to compare that with humans, okay? You want to learn animal quickly, just compare that with humans, okay? Human anatomy. So with forward, and we talk about the front legs of the plantigrades, or even like the other animals. It's not just about plantigrades, it's also ungulates and digigrades. But here we're talking about plantigrades, so let's stick to that. So in this one, that would be the scapula. So this region, right? This would be the scapula. This would be the humerus, right? And just keep comparing it to humans, right? So we have our scapula, right? We have our humerus. Then we have the forearm, where we have the radius and the ulna, okay? And then in the hand, we have those three bone groups, right? Which are like the carpals, metacarpals, and the phalanges, okay? So not to go too deep into anatomy, but yeah, we have like three parts to our hands, okay? So just to keep comparing them, okay? So here we have the scapula, you have the humerus, which is the upper arm bone, right? And for example, I'm just gonna make the hand like this for now, okay? So that would be our forearm, okay? Like the animal's forearm, and then the hand, okay? So here we have like all the three parts basically, okay? So that's why that was what Mike was saying, which is plantigrades are very easy, or the most easiest one out of the whole animal kingdom to draw basically. And this is the reason, okay? Because you just got to worry about less stuff, because in ungulates, and especially in ungulates and also in digigrades, these things just booms up, okay? So your hand, they're actually walking on the tips of the fingers, and their hand is like super large, and the toes are like very large, again, just like to kind of summarize this, it's very weird, okay? Well, anyway, so this is how it works, okay? You always want to compare that with human anatomy. And there we go. The scapula, the forearm, sorry, the upper arm, and the forearm. Okay. So this will be a little bit like this, because we want to keep that almost parallel or mostly parallel. Okay. So it would be like that. All right. So keep this thing in mind. First of all, a forward, backward, straight rhythm, even with the legs, So for example, I'm just going to draw a simple animal shape here. Okay. Let's say something like this. Okay. And I'll change the color here. Okay. So forward, backward, and straight. Okay. And then even with the hind legs, I think what you say. So the back legs, basically, it's still forward, backward, and straight. Okay. It's still that. Now there's a good comparison. There's a good thing that you can carry along with this, that the knee kind of matches, or yeah, mostly it's on the level of the elbow, right? So that's the bear's elbow. Okay. So this is the scapula, right? And this is the upper arm, and that's the elbow of the bear. Well, talking about the back legs, this is the femur bone, right? Because again, compared to humans, right, we have the pelvis, which is like this, and from the pelvis, we have the upper leg coming, which is the femur coming off, right? So the femur is the first thing that we see, and then yeah, that's the knee, right? So knee and the elbow kind of lines up, okay? So these are the few tricks, you know, they can remember while drawing. All right, let's get this going. So, you know, what I usually do, again, I just do that quick rhythm, okay, and then I put the volumes in there. So these are all 4 shapes, you know, that I'm using to draw the animal, draw the bear here. But what I'm usually doing, I'm just like putting those angles to kind of identify, is like, okay, where which thing is going on, you know, what is the position of whatever the legs are, and then I'm putting like the animal, not the animal shape, I should say, but 4 shapes on top to complete those legs, you know, basically just giving it more volume. That was the leg I was talking about, this leg right here. I was kind of confused, so I did a little study there, just kind of clarify myself and just put the correct one on top. Okay. All right, so this one, so as you can see, I did some like fur and such, but it's after like all the simple stuff's been done. Okay. All right, so that's kind of a final sketch. Okay, I'll also show you in the Photoshop. I have another one here really quick. So let's go with that. I have a raccoon drawing, by the way. There we go. Share screen again. All right, so here's the same thing. Now again, here, the raccoon's pose is a little different. It's not as, I would say silhouette wise, it's good, but it's a kind of a little bit squashed pose, okay? So I went with the animal shape here, but that's a little bit different, okay? Because the animal, when it's bending, you know, that's when the animal shape is a little bit different, okay? So here, you know, the raccoon is kind of squashed and it's in this like tight position there. But you can see me still doing this. Wait a second, I'm just, yeah. So here, I'm just gonna annotate again. So right there would be the pelvis of the raccoon, right? Then the femur would come in, so that's the knee part, okay? And then this would go like this, which is the lower leg, obviously. So that's the upper leg, the lower leg, and then this would be the whole foot, okay, of the raccoon, right there, okay? In this one also, you can, again, it's a forward, backward, straight thing, okay? So forward, this is backward, and that is the straight, okay? Forward, backward, always remember that. Okay, that's a very good classic technique, you know, that you can rely on. With the arm again, just see that, right? Which is forward, you know, that's the backward. So this is the elbow, okay? And then the straight one. Now that would be the rest of the remaining part, okay? All right, so I'll just play this video really quick. So let's skim through this a little bit. I'm just like doing more face details here. But yeah, the sketch is kind of complete, you know, like the body shape is kind of complete. Again, I'm not going for any clean drawings right now. I'm just like I'm just going for a moment. I'm just going for like the motion, the locomotives, you know, just like how we mentioned them. Yeah, so locomotives of the animal, like the function of the body of the animal, and yeah, the more and more the feel, right? So, and you can clean this up later, by the way. Okay. All right, so those are the 2 videos that I had. Now, in the remaining time, I'm just going to do a quick demo for you. Okay? So hope you enjoyed the videos. Let's get to a quick demo. By the way, these are the finished drawings, as you can see. Okay, so there's the bear. And then, and you can look at the silhouette, by the way. I didn't combine the silhouette with the line art. I thought it would be a kind of a cool thing to show you guys, which is, oh, look at how clean the silhouette is. Not clean, I should say, but it's very clear. It's definitely not clean. It's very messy. But yeah, it's a good silhouette. You know, you can see like both the legs separately, the back legs separately. You can see both the front legs separately. Okay, and you can see like the open mouth. The bear is kind of screaming. All right, that's a raccoon drawing, right there. Okay, so I thought it would be really cool to you know, to do this image. Okay, so I'm again like going for bears. Now one of the main thing I went for bears again for this demo is I want to show this like the force transfer. Okay, so before that, and I just want to give you a quick rundown of like what I'm thinking basically. Okay, So basically we are just like dealing with all these directional applied forces, right? But the thing is we are only dealing with them, or mostly dealing with them in the body, right? In just like one body. Now here, when somebody fights, or in this case the bears are fighting, you basically just go over see this, okay? Drawing. Why it is not drawing? Really? I'll just restart it pretty quickly. Sorry for that. Yeah, technical glitches. Is there any question, Mike? I'll answer that.
Yeah, no, everything's all good.
Okay. All right, just starting it up again. Firing my Photoshop. BSD.
You guys, neither one of you have pets, right? Swinley or Matunjay?
I used to have
No.
own dogs.
You had dogs? Mhm.
All right, now it's working. So let's get over this one. Yeah, so I was basically saying, you basically would see this, right? And you would see like the rhythm flowing inside the body. But now what I want you to understand is what the abstract concept that we're going to use is this, right? Is one force, which is the applied force, and the another one that will be a directional force getting affected by. Now, this is not in the same body. That's the difference basically. This one, right, being the applied force, that's like one animal, okay? In this case, one bear, okay? And that will be the another bear, okay? Which is like trying to dodge it, okay, basically. So one force affect the other, in this abstract manner. Now, yeah, just like I said, this is two different bodies, not the single body, right? So as you can see, this bear right here, how he's kind of approaching. So we can almost say he's doing this, right? Or it's doing this, and this bear is trying to do that, okay? So he's trying to like dodge it, and it's like a little bit of like a defensive position, okay? So he's trying to do more something like this, okay? All right, so talking about that, let's get to this quick demo here. All right, so I'm just gonna start with the animal shape, okay? Before even sometimes not sometimes when I'm just like looking at these aggressive poses, I usually start with the moment, okay? So I'm just thinking about, and I'm usually using these like arrows and such, okay? Now I can turn that into a force animal shape, that's kind of like pretty quickly. So there we go. Just like Sonny mentioned, this is like the hard bone structure at the pelvis, and as you can see right there, we are getting a kind of a straight there. Okay, so it's actually pretty good information there. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this, and look how it's going, right? So it's going like this, right? That's the belly hanging, right? That's one of the characters of the animal shape. Okay, I'm just gonna finish it there. Okay, all right. And again, you can do a little raising there. I'm doing it, and you can see that there's again like a kind of hump there, and also he's like again pushing the ground. So because of that, he's having like this bump here. Okay, so pushing the ground is pushing up, creating that hump. Okay, all right. So the bear is like the bear is kind of in a different his head is in a different perspective basically, right? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool image there. All right, so there we go. So a very quick shape there. What I'm gonna do here pretty quickly is I'm just gonna go for the forward, backward, straight moment. Okay, so the forward. Now it's kind of difficult. It's kind of a little bit difficult sometimes, because you really cannot see like the scapula and the humerus joint. Okay, sometimes. But in this case, it's right here. Okay, it's like this. And just like I'm using the same trick that Mike told, they should be a little bit, not should be a little bit, but they should be parallel or almost parallel. Okay. So here, as you can see, this is kind of like very parallel. Right there, if you can see, like this thing, there's a bump, that's been creating there, something like this. And then he's doing this and then this. Okay. There we go. Again, just like I said, it could be a little bit difficult, but once you just keep following it, then you will see. Okay. Right there. Right here. Again, I'm just gonna first figure out like all the angles. So there we go. And this bear is doing this. And here it's kind of very easy to identify. As you can see, again, the elbow. You see like the elbow right here, and that's lining up with the knee there. Okay, so that's the knee of the bear right here. Okay, and that's the elbow. So you can see how close they are, and they're like kind of lining up. Okay. All right. I just want to fix the angle really quick here. Just pretty quickly. It's this and this and this. And then this is coming closer, doing that. I'm kind of confused. Okay, there we go. So this is something like this. And then, yeah, it has like basically a flat feet again. Okay. So I usually do this. And then what I do is I put like I use like 4 shapes pretty quickly and then just like fill it out. Okay. So there goes the volume again. So there we go. I'm just gonna pretty quickly tone it in, right? You see like the animal shape again. It's almost like same as what Mike is what Mike is telling about the when he was like doing the raccoon animation. So it's basically like the simple shapes. Okay. So these are the simple shapes, that basically he's playing with, right? All right. Kevin asks, isn't that bump in part his scapula? Yeah, definitely. Just like I said, the hump comes from like both of these parts. Okay, so there's with grizzlies. Okay, with grizzlies, that's the characteristics, not with the other bears. Okay, so if that's a grizzly, there will be actually a muscle in there, in the bump, and then the scapula itself, would create a little bit of bump to it. So it's like a supportive, collaborative bump. All right, a little bit of the same hump thing in there. Okay. All right. Let's see what I'm doing. I'm just I'm using those angles again as a guide for myself. Okay, to put that. The scapula, the upper arm, and the lower arm. Okay, and then again, you cannot see you cannot see the hands, I should say, of the bears, but there we go. It's down there. Okay, and this ground thing, that's the chest part of the bear. Okay. Here the belly is kind of hanging. So again, stay aware of the gravity. Look at that spine rhythm in there. All right, and then get this. So I'm not gonna draw the face here. No, I just want to show you like the body rhythms. That's definitely for sure. That is like a little bit more important right now. This stage. Okay, so there we go. I think the other leg is kind of doing the same thing, but just to kind of cheat here a little bit, I'm just gonna put the leg. Maybe I can put it at back, so it may be like doing something like this. Right, so doing it might be doing something like that, right? That's gonna pretty quickly tone that in, and maybe show a little bit of low tail right there. Okay. So that's me just making it a little bit more clear. Okay. And the anatomy is just kind of followed. So right, that's the lats muscle, and that would be the rib cage and such. Okay. All right. So once this is done, all right. Yeah. So it will be a little bit defensive, just like I said. I'm just gonna do it very quickly here. We're running out of time. Okay. There we go. So a little bit defensive, just like I mentioned. It's a little bit harder, by the way, just to let you know, guys, it's a little bit harder when you're exploring the animals in a three-dimensional space a little bit. So when there's like foreshortening, it's a little bit difficult. Okay, if I just like do a little breakdown on this one. For example, the force animal shape is like this in foreshortening. Okay, so I'm putting these like cross contour lines to show that depth in there. Okay, and then again, you want to go for this forward, backward, and straight thing. Okay, so it would be something like this. Okay, and then even with the legs again, you want to do the same thing. So forward, right? So that's the knee part. Again, the elbow is kind of matching up with it, and then backward. So kind of make it a little bit smaller, put it right there. Yeah, forward, backward, just like I mentioned, and then the straight. Okay, to see how this is like following the perspective there. Forward, backward, and straight again. So I'm not saying that's a bear. I'm just telling you how this like foreshortening thing has been done. Okay. All right. Hope you enjoyed this little demo and the videos, and we're gonna conclude the stream. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mattesi.
Very welcome.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming today. I hope that you learned something about drawing plantigrade mammals. Once more, that's probably a good place to start because they are the closest to human anatomy, right? Getting those flat feet and flat hands on the ground. I have a quick question for you, I guess, before we leave, that I'd like you guys to type into the chat. We were thinking of next week, maybe doing something a little bit more on the psychological side of drawing. And I guess I'm curious as if that's something you guys would be interested in hearing about or not. So, just type in your thoughts before we run here. Other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. On drawingforce.com, there's a whole bunch of new courses that I'm going to be building out over this year. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening there over the next 6 months or so. So I hope you guys, check that out. We'll inform you, of course, here as those things happen. If you enjoy this channel, of course, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to make sure you get notified when new stuff's coming. And it looks like we have yeses and sures about the psychological stuff. So I think next week we're going to do that. There's a subject I have specifically in mind to share with you that the three of us will talk our way through. A lot of times the most difficult, yeah, I would agree. It says BZ. Yeah, I think mindset it's probably more than 50% of the battle, quite honestly. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go eat lunch. I'm starving. So go have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next Friday. Thank you, Swami and Mattesi, again for the awesome demos. And yeah, enjoy your weekends. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
See you guys. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye. All right, we're out.